The Handmaid's Tale series finale recap. June goes for a lengthy walk in the Handmaid's Tale series finale. It takes her to both imagined and actual locations, past and present, and here and gone. She wanders the empty streets of Boston, USA, shortly after it was freed from Gilead rule, mostly by herself. She passes the echoes of her always too brief assignments with her now-deceased lover and her agonizingly intact memories of her early parenthood. In a fictional Boston, she envisions herself screaming out karaoke songs with Rita, Moira, Emily, Brianna, Janine, and Alma, the ladies she survived hell with. Ultimately, June walks herself to the charred remains of a little bedroom that she once considered her own and that transformed her life. June takes a seat by the window and makes herself recall everything from what she now perceives to be her own beginning. June is skillfully made to suffer in The Handmaid's Tale. We're used to her arguing, yelling, sobbing, pleading, and plotting. We saw her thrashing against the sky in last week's execution, her hands grabbing at the noose that was tightening around her neck. Were the show's creators ever tempted to simply leave her hanging, to push June's life of suffering for 6 seasons to its dreadful, rational conclusion? Death may feel like a fitting conclusion to some people. I can picture a fearless June dead more easily than I can picture her escorting Holly to swim lesson. A series finale in which various characters memorialize June almost writes itself. Maybe her mother would tell a story about June's tenacity as a child, which, in retrospect, seems to portend all the foolishly heroic things that happened after. Everyone would promise that June Osborne's death would not be in vain. Fortunately, the series departs from Gilead in a more ambitious, but much more subdued, manner. Because the season before it was so masterfully planned and incredibly heartbreaking, there was no need for a supersized finale. This week's episode, which is ostensibly named The Handmaid's Tale, is the first in the series to take place entirely in America, giving June breathing room to think. When she is not preoccupied with the needs of survival, what does her mind go back to? In the midst of rainbow carnival lights, June recalls grasping Hannah's hand. She cuddles her baby close and murmurs, "Mommy's always come back," after momentarily losing sight of Hannah and discovering her close to the carousel. Before she ever saw the words, "No light te bastards carborundrum," engraved inside a closet, June believed in this code, which is the same mantra she chanted in baby Noah's. June informs us in voiceover that the fighting ended before the Marines even set foot in Southie and that Boston falls, or, to put it another way, rises, 19 days after Mayday's onslaught. The narrative repeatedly demands this level of local information. Later on, June will be shown in the same frame as the enormous name sign for the Boston Globe building. However, the snow-covered streets she walks on for an hour feel dreary. Like in New York, Ohio, and Kansas, other locations that June informs us are once again America, the Gilead overlords wiped out every remnant of the city's identity. The others can take pleasure in keeping Gilead away from Boston, notably Moira, Rita, and Luke. There are festivities and bonfires. In addition to flag burning, there is the more sinister practice of stringing up ex-guardians. Luke dedicates himself to the next punch on his list, Requiem, Mayday's New York headquarters, in an attempt to keep from losing his revolutionary high. Although I am aware that we should no longer undervalue Mr. June Osborne, I can't help but notice how adorable he is when he uses military jargon in real life. However, June only sees the futures she has lost when she looks into the flames of the burning Gilead flags. She will always remember Hannah as a young child who was light and small enough to be thrown into the air. June recalls Nick, a man who died for a cause he never supported because he was so focused on surviving. There are narrative benefits to her estrangement from her allies. With 2 noteworthy exceptions, Hannah, who we find out is relocating to D.C. due to her father's hurried promotion in the reduced commander ranks, and Moira, whom the episode unceremoniously sidelines, June pinballs practically everyone she cares about in the course of an hour. June's future goals become clear as a result of her encounters. First, she finds out after the fact that U.S. Commander Mark Tuello, who happens to be the unlucky title coincidence, has a son who lives in the safe haven of Hawaii. The effort he is doing on behalf of his child to revive America is something he thinks about. You father a boy from the other side of the planet in this manner. June is now under the direction of a new military, but it is Mark who grants her the backstage pass that allows her to move freely across Boston. In her former area, she is walking past an empty storefront when she unexpectedly spots Emily. Yes, Emily. During the time when women were forced to stroll this metropolis 2x2, June was Fred and Serena's first walking companion. The fact that they cross paths in front of the closed ice cream shop where Emily told June in season 1 that salted caramel was superior to sex briefly confused me. Is this a ghost? A delusions?